contributor is Obama changes the subject away from Obamacare, whiffs on income inequality. Peter Ferrara, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
So tell me, why did the president attempt to go back to economic inequality, Peter?
The president gave that speech a few weeks ago, a speech on economic inequality. It's his communist coming out speech, really. I mean, if you understand ideology and what's going on, Obama's just playing to his left-wing base, trying to change the subject from Obamacare. This whole notion of this concern about economic inequality is the core of Marxism. It's the core of socialism, communism. It's none of the government's business if somebody earns more than somebody else, or if somebody has accumulated more wealth than somebody else. You know what? It's none of your business. Okay, it's worthy to have the government provide social safety nets so there is no human hardship or suffering among the public. That's fine.
What do you mean? Well, hold on. What do you mean worthy, though? Because, I mean, are we talking about the federal government? And worthy, what do you mean by worthy?
I'm not sure I used that word, but
I'm
not
sorry.
talking about the federal government per se. I've called for block granting all federal welfare programs back to the state.
Peter, you know where I come from, and you know that I oftentimes pretty much share your opinion and you being the expert. My point is, oftentimes people talk about the social safety net, and it's a worthy idea to have that. And I think when we have the 60% of our budget going to the entitlement state, and I know this because people like you inform me of it, that when we even allow for the idea to say, yeah, that's a okay idea, I'm going to take issue with it because I think we're at a place right now where we all want to help people, but that help that ostensibly we've been giving in the sense of the welfare state is destroying us. So that's why I took issue with it, not really at you, but just to make a point. But please go ahead.
Well, the welfare system today is very counterproductive, and it's actually causing people not to work, causing families to break up, causing the increased bearing of children outside of marriage, which is all extremely socially counterproductive, and all of that needs to be reformed. But I'm making a different point here, which is that's one issue. It's an entirely separate issue from trying to say that everybody's income ought to be equal. Everybody's wealth ought to be the same. This is the reigning assumption among the intelligentsia of America. The smartest people in America all agree everybody's income should be equal, everybody's wealth should be equal, or else it's not fair. They are embracing the core of Marxism in that position. And I'm drawing a distinction between those policies and safety net policies, which are different. They often say we need inequality because we have to take care of the poor. No, we need equality because we have to take care of the poor. No, that has nothing to do with equality. The government and none of you professors and none of you journalists have any right to say this person is making too much money, that one's making too much money, this person's accumulated too much wealth. It's none of your business. Okay, you can have programs to take care of the poor. Those need to be carefully structured, as you point out. They should be done at the state level and as much as possible through the private sector. But that's entirely different from saying, oh, well, the whole goal of society, to be fair, everybody's income must be equal, everybody's wealth must be equal. I consider that article you mentioned to be the definitive rebuttal of that whole Marxist idea. The article explains why. If you have a world where, suppose in the United States, they said, okay, from now on, everybody's income is going to be equal, everybody's wealth is going to be equal. If you make more than somebody else, we're going to take everything above average that you make and give it to somebody else, so that everybody's got the average. And if you have more wealth than somebody else, we're going to take it from you and give it to somebody else so everybody has the average. The logical result of that is no work at all, no savings at all, no investment at all, no economic growth, no prosperity, and a return to the Stone Age. And the article explains why.
Tell me, why have these ideas gained traction today, as opposed to would these ideas have gained as much traction back when you were serving in the Reagan administration?
This is a time of left-wing extremism dominating America. A fundamental theme going on today that almost nobody will raise in public is the threat of an ongoing Marxist takeover of America. And the Marxists the world over see that. Oh my gosh, the Soviet Union collapsed, but look, we got this amazing opportunity going on in America, where the Marxists have taken over the Democrat Party, and now they're taking over the whole country. So the phrase "my Democrat friends" is an obsolete notion. The Democrat Party is an open conspiracy against the Constitution. The Democrat Party has allowed itself to be taken over by Marxists. Look, that's just the real world the way we find it. I'm sorry if that's jarring to a lot of people.
What about the Democrats who say, I'm not a Marxist, I just believe that government can do things well, and I believe we should take care of, going back to, obviously, how you stayed on point, brilliantly as always, but going back to the idea of, hey, I'm just a compassionate guy, gal. That's what I want. I mean, I believe government has a place. Why, Peter, do you not believe in taking care of others and that the state has a role in doing that? I mean, FDR, started Social Security. This is a great program. Medicare, great program. Without it, we'd have a lot of problems. Peter?
That was the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy, the last good Democrat. That's not the Democrat Party of today. So that's very different from saying, the government needs to intervene to make sure everybody's income is equal. The government needs to intervene to make sure the wealth of everybody's equal. And you go to any major university, and every professor in the university agrees with that. You go to the New York Times, and you know what? Everyone who works there agrees with that. You go to the Washington Post, everyone who works there agrees with that. You go to the Democrat caucus, Congressional caucus, everyone agrees with that. It's the reigning assumption among the intellectual elites of America that the only fair society is for everybody to have equal wealth and equal income. The economy will not function at all under that. Why would you work at all when you're going to have an average income whether you work or not? Why save and invest anything when if you do, they'll take it away from you, and you'll get the average whether you save or invest anything or not. So with no work, no saving, no investment, you have no economy, no economic growth, no prosperity. You have North Korea and Cuba, the inevitable result. And so we saw this in the 20th century. Every society that tried to say, that's right, that's only fair. We need to have equal incomes and equal wealth for all. Why should some people have so much more than others? That was proven incredibly stupid in the 20th century. But it's a reigning assumption still among the American intellectual elite. So I am pursuing a direct intellectual challenge to that entire reigning assumption. We have to abandon that idea completely if we're going to have a functional United States of America. Otherwise, we're on the road back to the Stone Age, period.
And Peter Ferrara, you have done an outstanding job as always. My only, this is what I would truly like, and I would host it, but I would be fine with somebody else taking that on in the sense of a network or a major. I think that, Peter, you could go up against Chris Matthews, and you could sell out. I mean, what you all can do by simply challenging, because that's what you're doing, and you're pointing at fact, or Jonathan Alter for that matter. What you need to do is we need to hear these debates. Yet we don't get them in press conferences. We don't get them at congressional hearings because we're talking about running out the clock and filibustering, and one side not really coordinating their questions, which they should, for accountability, and the other side doing a PR campaign for the people that are accused of malfeasance. So, Peter, does something need to change in media? Are we going to, like you, are you asked on MSNBC? I think you would be the perfect guest for MSNBC if they wanted to increase their ratings. Tell me, does that happen?
Everything you just said is a very good point. No, I'm almost never invited on MSNBC. I did an appearance on Chris Matthews a long time ago, once, at the very beginning. I challenged him very directly on the show. And I guess they made a decision. Don't ever have this guy back again. Well, it was good because that was a good decision on their part because that would have made Chris Matthews look like a fool on his own show. They were right about that. And that is the dysfunction of American media today.
Peter, I want to allow for tomorrow. I'd like to have you on at the exact same time and open up the phones because I know people want to talk to you as well and ask you questions. Would you come back on same time tomorrow night? I'm asking on air. It's kind of tough to say no, isn't it? yeah, that's good. Why don't we plan on doing that tomorrow exactly the same time? Let's do that.
I have an interview at 6 o'clock, but I think I'm free at 7 o'clock. So.
All right. Well, good. And I'll confirm with, obviously, our contact on that. But bottom line, we've started the conversation. We're out of time for this segment, but we will continue it tomorrow night and bring in the calls. Peter, I really appreciate you, man. Great to be with you. Thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Always.